Hi, everyone. This is Hal Crosman with Screenwriting U, and today we're going to be looking at how to create great ideas that can sell scripts. And let me just say this up front. If you haven't been in the market, if you haven't already made a deal, then what I'm about to say may be somewhat new. Uh, this is what it basically is. If you're writing a script and you spend 6 months writing something that is highly marketable, the way they can tell it's highly marketable is in the pitch. They can tell it from the early ideas. These are the things that actually change your life as a writer. If you get to the end and then you decide to create the pitch, well, you're already committed to what you wrote, and a lot of times the pitch becomes a book report that just is really difficult to sell. So we're going to be talking today about how do you create those great ideas? How do you create something that really does have a chance of selling? Now, before we do that, let's just look at the industry real fast, because this is great news. It's been going on for about, what, a month and a half or so. The industry's back to work. There's a lot of people who have spent a massive amount of time on hold. And I'm talking writers, producers, managers, studios, funding sources, everybody was on hold for about 5 years. We went through the strikes, we went through the fires, but before that, we went through the pandemic, and then had about a year where some things were happening, but everybody was a little concerned, and then went right into the strikes. So now that this is over, most people have returned to work. Producers are optioning and buying scripts. We've had at least a couple of deals in the last month. Managers and agents are picking up clients. We had 4 clients picked up in the last 2 months. 4 of our writers were picked up by managers, which means they're now in the market. They're now bringing projects in on a regular basis, and the projects that they brought in the first place, the managers considered to be highly marketable. That's why they signed them. The pace is already ramping up. And as you already know, everything that we're doing here at Screenwriting U is about helping you get back on that horse and having a great ride. So now, having said that, let's now talk about, I got to clarify something first. There's some people who don't know this yet, so let me just make sure it's really, really clear. The WGA position on AI. And a lot of people think that the WGA position on AI is just absolutely no. Here's the thing to know. In the agreement that they wrote with the studios at the end of the strike, they said studios cannot use AI. That was the big thing. AI wasn't the enemy. It was studios using AI, because the studios were already thinking, hey, we can just have this machine create our scripts and everything's great. But they also said writers can use AI. Now, if you were like emotionally involved in that whole situation, and it was emotional for a lot of people, it was emotional for us. The thing is coming out of it, why would the WGA put that in the agreement? Right? And I looked at it and I talked with a bunch of pro writers and everything else. And there's a reason why, is because they want writers to have those abilities. It's something that basically belongs to writers. You should be able to create projects however you want. And this doesn't mean that you write the script with AI, but and this takes us to our position. After talking with producers, agents, managers, pro writers, and everything else, what we came to was this. You're the writer. And we've always believed this anyway. You're the writer. You make your decisions. You give your story expression. You write the description and the dialogue. You're you're just using AI to brainstorm and to give feedback. And that's all we're doing. We tell people up front, don't have AI write your script. That's not okay. And it's not only not okay from a creative perspective, it's also it's a problem when you get to the copyright office. But the copyright office and almost anybody I know says it's totally okay to brainstorm, totally okay to give feedback. Those two things are perfect for what AI does. So now let's talk about project creation. You're about to create a project, right? And if we look at the standard process, I'm going to give you a couple of different versions, a couple of different kinds of processes, but this is the standard process that most people use. I talk to writers all the time and I'll say, they'll pitch me a script and I'll go, wow, how did that happen? How did you come up with that? What went on? And they'll say this. I've had like 80% of them say these words. An idea popped into my head and I just started writing. Right? And it makes sense. An idea pops into your head. You're excited about it. You just go, yes, let's just go with it. And things are coming to you and you're in this creative flow and it's amazing. It's how I think I wrote my first 5 or 6 scripts. So it's a cool process, but let's talk about it. The value is it feels good. It really does. You're just following your creativity, your curiosity, you're flowing. An idea came to you, and from that point on, it's like, wow, you're in this kind of creative euphoria in a way. It's amazing. The problem, and there's a couple of problems with it. First, if you're starting with no pitch up front, you've got no guidelines for what will sell the script. And this, it's like there's a couple of issues with that, especially when it comes to later on when you get to producers and you didn't figure out your pitch in the beginning anyway. Second problem is that a lot of times the script has problems under the surface. And that happens because you get really engaged and emotionally involved. Sometimes it just ends up being something that just flows out and you didn't have time to really think about it. And if you create something in an early draft and it has a lot of problems, especially if what you do is just jump to wordsmithing, some of those problems are going to stay there. And then third, at the end of the process, the writer has to make up a pitch, which usually ends up being a book report. And I had this problem. We got into a bunch of producers with the first script that we pitched. But I was pitching it like a book report. And I was really lucky. Early on, a producer listened to my whole thing, and then she said, oh, that's interesting. I think I'd pitch it this way. And then she gave me a pitch and I wrote it down. She was the first one that said yes, by the way. That day I'd called 5 producers, 4 of them said no, and she said yes. But she said yes based on her pitch. So I wrote it down and I pitched every producer with that pitch after that. And we ended up getting 24 script requests. But the problem was this. Her pitch was an interpretation of my pitch, which hers didn't quite match my script. So I ended up having to do a complete rewrite and we ended up losing all of those producers in the meantime. So that's the standard kind of process. And maybe you use that, maybe you don't. Maybe you're a little better. Maybe you use this one. And this one came from some of the pro writers that I know who have had 7, 8 movies made. They said they brainstorm a lot of possible concepts at the beginning before they even jump into it. So they're not just going with something that just popped into their head. That would be one of 5 or 10 or whatever. Then they select the best of those projects, right? So they've got maybe 10 concepts in front of them. They're selecting the best of those 10. And that gives you a real chance. And out of that, of course, then they create characters and structure. Yeah, and it works. Usually, this kind of project, this kind of process, if you're really brainstorming a lot of concepts, it's going to take you 30 days, maybe 60 days to find that great project that will be your first deal. And if you do nothing else, I would recommend considering this process, although I'll tell you, it's a lot of work. Let me give you an even better one. I'm going to call it the best process right now for creating projects. And this is what we're going to do today. You start with some high quality AI prompts to brainstorm a complete project that's concept, characters, structure, and pitch. And again, what we're doing is using AI just to brainstorm here. It's not going to write our project. It's just going to brainstorm some ideas for us. You'll see me do it in a couple of minutes here. From there, maybe you create 5 to 10 of these projects during a week, and you can easily do that. And then you select the best out of the 10 to write. So it takes into account what the pro writers are doing, where they're creating 5 to 10 projects and then selecting the best of the 10. But the requirement here is only about 15 to 30 minutes a day or per project, right? And it's like, it's wild. Now, what you're going to see me do will probably take at least 15, maybe 20 minutes. I don't know. But I can do it in 5. We've done it so much. So let's do that. Hang on just a moment here. Okay. So to demonstrate this, let's go over here. And this, this is ChatGPT. I like this one better than some of the others because it gives you the option to choose not to have them train their AI on your project. So it keeps your stuff private. So that's why I say I recommend it. But you've probably worked with either this one or one of the other AIs at some point along the way. I want to just kind of give you a quick demo of how this works. And we'll start just by creating some basic concepts. So this one's pretty easy. This is a pretty simple prompt. Here's my project. This is something I just popped into my head one day. It's a sci-fi project. An extraterrestrial intelligence periodically resets the dominant species on Earth. And just if this doesn't make sense to you, what that could mean is that they may decide that whales are the dominant species and eliminate human beings. So that was my idea. So I just asked it to give us 3 different possible projects, 3 different possible concepts. Let's see. A scientist discovers Earth's extinction cycles are controlled by an alien AI, and humanity is next, unless she can break the reset sequence. Okay, so it's just, I think that one's okay. Here's a couple of others. So it's given me 3 to choose from here. Now let's take it to the next step. Just a second. And I'll just use this first one. No, hang on. I'm going to use this one. Let's do this one. And now we're going to turn it into a little stronger concept here. So what I'm asking it to do at this point, and what I've basically just programmed it to do, is to take that idea, turn it into a 25-word or less concept, give us the main conflict right there, give us a deeper layer, give us an intriguing world, and a transformational journey. Now, ask yourself, how long would that normally take you to do? Right? How much work would you have to do to be able to create just that? But this gives us a chance now to look at it. And I want you to know when you're doing this, you're not just taking what the AI says, you're actually looking at it and saying, okay, do I like this as the main conflict? And you read the conflict and think about it. If you don't like it, you delete it, you put in something else, right? You bring your own creativity to the table. Is this a deeper layer that I think works for this story? And is something I want to tell? Do I like the world the way it's been set up? This is a fluid process in my mind. And if you use it that way, you're going to be able to bring yourself to the table, your own creativity, and make this project something that you'd like to live with. Our third prompt here now takes it to another level. So now what we're asking it to do is to create characters. And so it starts by giving us a little summary right here, the way we've got this set up. And then from there, here's our characters. So here's our protagonist, Elias. It gives us the role. This is the last human alive, chosen to justify humanity's survival. It gives us some core traits for this character. He's intelligent, empathetic, resilient, but deeply guilt-ridden. And again, you might look at all of this and go, you know what, I'd like different traits. Or I need him to be somebody else. Maybe he's a con man at this point. He's going to try to take advantage of this situation. Who knows? Uh, it gives a motivation, a wound, what the intrigue of this character is, and for the protagonist, a transformational journey. Now, that's the protagonist. Here's the antagonist. In this case, it's the arbitrator. I think that's interesting. Uh, the wild card, Nova, and the ghost. Okay, so it just created all of this. You might look and go, oh, I don't want a ghost, or I don't want only one person to be alive. Maybe we make it a competition between two who are going to control it. So one's the protagonist, one's the antagonist. You can make up all kinds of different things. Essentially, it's just doing a brainstorm session with you. But it's a very specific brainstorm session that can get you something that has a real chance. Now let's take it another step. So let's see how it does here. So there's Act 1. We've got the opening. We've got the inciting incident. We've got the turning point, first turning point. Now we're Act 2. Here's the midpoint of Act 2. Here's the second turning point. And then finally, the resolution. And it tells us what it thinks is our thematic core. So this is Act 3 here. We have a climax and then the resolution at the very end. Again, this is the projects that I've worked on so far on this. Usually I'll end up keeping about 30% plus or minus of what it actually said. The rest is all things that I looked and I went, okay, I like this, but I don't like how it shows up here or whatever. And re-brainstormed it. Sometimes I've looked at it and gone, all right, I'm good with the first act, but when I get to the second act, it needs a stronger midpoint. And then I just brainstorm that and again, bring my own creativity to the table. So what this gives you, though, is a chance to do this at an incredible speed so that you can play with ideas and see what you think. And let me now take this a step further for you. And now I'm going to show you. Oh, okay. Let me try it a different way. Just a second. Hang on just a moment here. I'm going to change something. Just okay. Here it comes, I think. Let's see if that one works. It wants to give us two different versions. One more time. Maybe it'll finish. There we go. Let's go with that. There we go. Okay. So I want you to see what this just did. When it comes to creating a query letter, the biggest problem I think people have is that they don't have hooks that make it easy for a producer to instantly see something that's valuable. So let's see what it did. I have it give us an opening hook, a middle hook, and a final hook. And put a paragraph in between. This one tells us basically the first act. This one tells us what the conflict of the second and third act is, basically. So it makes it pretty easy for them to see a movie. So let's see their opening hook. Humanity didn't fail the test. It was never meant to pass. Okay, that's not bad. That's interesting. At least it's enough to get them to read whatever's next here. Let's go to the middle hook. If the test is rigged, has every civilization been erased for nothing? Okay, all right. And then finally, will Elias break the cycle or become the next ghost trapped inside it? With that, here's what we have. We have a query letter that if a producer read it, if they just read even one of these hooks, it would probably create enough intrigue for them to read the whole thing. And that's what we're looking to do. Now, again, when you do this, you then read through the story part, see if it gives you what you want. If it doesn't, you make changes. Or you use it as the start to start brainstorming for yourself. Then here's the second part. Once you've done this, once you've read through this and worked with it a little bit, you then can look down here and we've set it up so it gives you 5 additional opening hooks that you could use, 5 additional middle hooks you could use, and 5 additional final hooks you could use. Now, if you're still asking yourself, why do we care about these hooks? Remember this. If you're sending query letters to a producer, the reason why most people tell you that they don't work is because they didn't do this. They didn't create any hooks. Creating the hooks is probably the most important part. The producer glances at your query letter, and if they don't know you, the only thing that has them read is if there's something there that has them go, oh, wow, let me check this out. So we have tested this on producers. I've actually interviewed about 30 producers about this one thing. What causes you to read a query letter? And their response is, you know, if I know the writer, if the person has some kind of credibility, and third, if it hooks me. So this is incredibly important. Now, let's go a step further. So we've got a query letter now. We did all those other things. We created a concept, we created characters, we created structure, all of that. Let's see what happens here. Just a moment. So now I'm asking it to give us feedback on this project. Now, in reality, I'm just doing this as a demonstration right now, but in reality, what you would do is you would work with the feedback or the process overnight. You would take the project you just created, you know, you read through it, you mark out everything you don't like. I always move it over to another document, mark out everything you don't like, brainstorm what you do like, bring yourself to the table, your creativity, fill in all the blanks, and the next day you just come back and use our prompt to get feedback. So here it gave me feedback on the concept. It says, here's what it works well. Here are some ideas for improving the concept. That's incredibly important. You never know. You might have something that's really, really good, but one improvement could make it great. Then it looks at the characters, again, telling us what it likes and then giving ideas for improvement, because that's how we design this part. There's the 4 characters. It then took a look at our structure, told us what worked really well, gave us some ideas for improving the first act, the second act, and the climax. That's important and valuable. And then finally, it took a look at our pitch and did the same thing. So what this just did, again, assuming that you've built, you've worked with it, you've brought your own creativity to it, you've improved the whole project. What this just did was given you a way to take that project and make it 50% better. And again, that might be the difference between whether you sell or not. Then at that point, then you use that project to be able to write your script and then take it out to producers. So basically what we just did was I showed you how to create a marketable concept, the perfect characters, a full structure, a compelling pitch, and then feedback to elevate the quality. And that, I don't know how long it actually took us because we had some bloopers in there. But the truth is you can do all of this. I would do really most of this in like 30, 40 minutes, just in between each step, look at each one of them and say, how can I improve it? Or how do I make it mine? Do that, take 5 minutes in between each one, give it whatever you can do in 5 minutes. And then maybe let it sit overnight, come back the next day and get feedback on it and take it to a new level. And at that point, you've got an amazing project to start. So what does this give you? First, you'll end up with fully formed projects in about 10 minutes. This is something that really, truly would take most people 20, 30 hours to be able to create. There are some people who have written entire scripts, and at the end of the entire thing, they have missed half of what we just did, and they don't know it. There are so many scripts that come into contest that don't do well in contest, and the writer doesn't really know why. And a lot of times it could have been solved in this 10-minute process. Second, every blank is filled in without any stress on your part. So this is you getting a chance to create without having to rack your brain, without having to go through any emotional issues or worry about whether you can do it or anything else. It's like we've got the hard part done, and now you get to flow and write. And the final feedback that we just did, when you look at it, once you have it, you'll recognize this would cost you $100 to have a script consultant do this after you've done your script. And there's really the chance that some of that feedback may be better than many of the script consultants out there. I'm not putting them down. I'm just saying I have paid for about 35 different script consultants, and half of them missed some of the most important parts when it comes to selling a script. So this is the live class that's coming up. Let me just walk you through it. Right now we're calling it Advanced AI Projects, but that's just because it just generates a project very quickly for you. Here's what we're going to do in the live Zoom program. This one's going to be live. 100% I'll be face-to-face with you. You're going to take a single project through all of these steps. So you'll create your unique and marketable concept. You'll then create the perfect characters, the full structure, the compelling pitch, and you'll use the prompt to get feedback on it right then while we're sitting there. And you can use this to create every single project you ever write from now on. You can use it to brainstorm 10 projects and pick the best of those 10, which is part of the real value here. But our objective first is that you master project creation. When people say they're sitting there with a blank, looking at a blank page, it's almost always because they haven't actually fully created a project. So this just makes your life so much easier. Second objective is that you can think outside the box without any fear or stress. And that will change things for you. It's like once you recognize that and you see that you can create a project at any time without any of that, with no fear, no stress. It's like, oh my God, the freedom you have is incredible. Third objective, you pick the best of 5 or 10 projects, which gives you 10 times the chance of success. We had one professional writer I interviewed. He had 8 out of 9 scripts made into movies, and they were $15 to $30 million movies. And on every one of them, he brainstormed 5 to 10 projects. He said he would take a month and brainstorm and then pick the best one. He could have done that all inside of, 5 days doing it this way, or maybe even faster. And then the fourth objective is that managers and producers are going to see you as an amazing writer. You're somebody who's coming in with incredible projects, and you've written the entire project. So you own it, it's yours. You just happen to use a brainstorm partner in the beginning. So here's what's going to happen in the class. This is one time only. Every time I update this, I do one of these, but I'm loving this update right now. We're going to do it live. It'll be on a Sunday from 1 to 5 p.m. I will walk you through every single step. You will create one project during the class. I will answer all your questions. So my objective is not that you just know what the prompts are. My objective is that you use them and that you learn it so that you can use it from now on for the rest of your life. And once you have this, you will be able to create projects at will. You'll also get access to the recording of the class. So if you need to listen to it again or watch it, or if there's something that you went, oh, I couldn't figure this one thing out, you can go back to that part and watch me demonstrate it and explain it and then answer questions on it. We'll do this Sunday, March 23rd. So that's what, like 2-3 weeks. We'll do it from 1 to 5 p.m. Pacific time. If you can't make it, it'll be recorded. But if you can, I'd highly recommend you be there so that if you have questions, I can take care of it at that moment. Normal price on this is $129. We've already got, I think we've got 15 people signed up already on this one, just from Cheryl announcing it today. So the special on this one, you get in at $99. So this will save you $30 on it. Plus, this is going to be live. Those are priceless from a perspective of making sure you really master this. Just write this link down, bit.ly, bit.ly/advanced-AI, and come join us. And again, ask yourself this: what if I could create the best projects of my life in a single evening? What kind of a difference would that make for you as a writer? And you can. This is, first, the AI is amazing at brainstorming outside the box. You use our prompts, you put in your ideas, and it will take them to a whole new level. Now, when you're in the class, I will also walk you through how to turn the AI part off so that it can't use any of your stuff. So it doesn't copy or use any of that. It doesn't train on your materials. So everything there is yours. So again, just write this link down, bit.ly/advanced-AI. create-ai. There's a dash right there. No capitals, no spaces, any of that kind of thing. Put it in your browser where you normally put a web address, click return, and come join us. I promise you on this one, we have a money back guarantee. If you don't like it for any reason in the first hour, just send us an email and we'll give you your money back. But this is going to change your life as a writer because it'll give you so many amazing projects that will light up your creativity and will give you a real chance at being able to sell something. I'm looking forward to working with you, looking forward to hanging out with you, and looking forward to making sure that you really master this. And then I can't wait to see the projects you come up with. So with that, thank you guys for hanging out with me, and I will talk with you on Sunday, March 23rd. Bye-bye, everyone.